Hello everyone, welcome to the next game review on our YouTube. Today we have a game of Ko versus ddeo, who both requested this game review. Two questions Ko asked me about the game will be how to keep momentum from move 48 and how to strengthen situational analysis. So we will take a look at this game with the ddeo's Sente's view. So we have an early bishop line closing. This could indicate both swinging rook and either Yagura or Gangi opening. But as you can see, both sides push their rook pawn, so it means we are in double static rook opening. Up to here, it becomes clear that Gote is going for the Gangi castle. And Sente has the left side Mino. Left side Mino in double static rook is no surprise nowadays. The idea is to make a simple castle and then attack as quickly as possible. We often see it paired with the rapid advancing silver, like this. Gote has the option of using this silver here or here. In this game, you're gonna see the 5-3 silver. The silver to 6-3 would allow the right side king strategy. And here we see that Ko didn't defend the bishop's head. This would prevent Sente from rook-pawn exchange. I checked it with Pro Database and it is played more often so that it's defended here than it is to ignore it. The idea behind ignoring it would be that we allow them to exchange this pawn and gain one move to attack elsewhere, but defending would be a very good, solid move. It also puts the bishop into a better square protected by the knight, rather than being protected by the gold. So finally, Sente finishes the castle. And here Gote pushes the h6 pawn. But as you can see, it kind of turns out that we gave away this pawn for nothing. This move is played before engaging in attack. In this situation, we don't have any follow-up, so one idea for Sente would be to slow down and actually try to keep the pawn advantage. Having a pawn loss in the opening is actually quite huge in Shogi. Basically, Gote will be having no good options to start their offensive. Here we could go for the silver crown, keeping this higher position. So of course, left side Mino and Gangi, you can choose any strategy you want. Yeah, you can put the silver here, you can put silver here. Similarly, Sente could choose the reclining silver or rapid advancing silver. Many cool shapes are here. I recommend you guys also try it out by yourself. So instead of playing for the silver crown, Sente goes strongly. The problem is that king is still sitting in the center. So technically, if we take it with the pawn, let's imagine like the knight jumps. Yeah, this would be like a natural move attacking the silver. You can see that there is a tiny problem that we have with the king and the rook fork. Similarly, if we were to take it with the silver, we can just repel the attack, yeah? So Sente cannot go strongly because of this king. According to the computer though, this position would be still equal. It is just that, humanly speaking, Sente would have to be much more careful. What Gote did, what Ko played, was the edge pawn. And here I have to ask, like, what is the meaning of this, right? What is the value of this pawn? It seems like we're passing a move. So because the enemy pushed this pawn here, this is called shikake. This is when the middle game starts, and our mentality needs to shift. We are not in the opening anymore. We cannot build our castle. We cannot play slow moves. We definitely cannot leave hanging pieces. So here we have to go think about what Sente is going to do next, how we're gonna fight against it, yeah? So this is why pawn takes would be one of those moves, reactive. So since we do this, Sente has one more move. They take here. And again, do we take it with the silver or do we take it with the bishop? Yeah, bishop, as we said, the bishop exchange might favor Gote a little bit more. So this was a good move. Silver takes, Sente brings the rook here. And this is quite interesting position. When I look at this position, I would like to find a way for Go to counter attack, right? We are under attack. We, of course, won't be able to defend everything. We would want to have some form of counter attack to defend by attacking, yeah? I immediately think of this square, 7-5. Pawn takes would allow us to throw this bishop off the diagonal and allow us to retake this pawn. Depending on the situation, we will be able to use this pawn here to attack this rook, which is, by the way, very close to the king, yeah? It looks really nice. Also, this pawn and this pawn together gives us this feeling of surrounding the king. So I really like this idea. What Ko played was pawn drop here, but bishop can simply take it. I wanted to point out, if in this situation we were to take it with the bishop, pawn drop would have more power to it, yeah? Bishop cannot take it because bishop is indirectly protecting it. So if that was our idea, then bishop takes 4-4 was probably a little bit better here. Bishop takes, and once more we arrive at this bad situation for Gote. It is called Fugire. Gote basically is out of pawns, and having no pawns in Shogi is a horrible thing. Horrible. Pawns are necessary pieces to attack, pawns are necessary pieces to defend with. Basically, Fugire is an advantage to your opponent, yeah? It is something we have to know about middle game. It is a good rule to determine who has the advantage in the middle game. So in the actual game, Ko put his rook to 8-5, trying to put some pressure onto this line. And he pawn drop 4-5. It may seem like it's blocking the silver and the knight and the rook. So I didn't like it much, but the computer said it's not too bad because we can sacrifice this pawn later. Ko decided to go up here and the silver exchange happened. And we had a pawn sacrifice onto second file, followed up by king 6-8. This move was pointed out by the computer in different moments of the middle game. It probably would be nice idea to play it beforehand, but nevertheless, it is a good move in here, putting the king away from the attacker's side a little bit, yeah? Ko played actually a move suggested by the computer, silver drop to 8. And this move is something we call the B-side attack. B-side attack is basically a method of attacking the attacking pieces of the enemy. We manage to disarm the enemy attackers, our king becomes safer, right? So that's the idea. If we put a pressure on the rook, it's gonna go to a weird spot. The head of our Gangi will be a little bit safer. The knight is actually quite hard to protect, and this is why ddeo pushed this pawn. An interesting thing happened here. Ko took it with the bishop, but as we said before, the idea of this move was to put a pressure on this rook. So what would happen if we were to make that piece disappear? Suddenly, this silver here is doing nothing. Yeah, even if it takes the knight, it's a knight advantage, right? It doesn't have the impact of punishing or bullying the rook, right? So this is why in this position, it was a little bit better to take it with silver, to deny the rook-bishop exchange, and to continue the pressure of this silver. So in this way, those two pieces are cooperating with each other here. So we arrive at this position where ddeo continues the attack and Ko took the knight. We are about to create a token. This time it is Sente who doesn't have a pawn to block it, so we might feel a little bit confident for Ko. So in this position, it is actually Sente who has the chance to keep the tempo here. If we look at this position, what do we see? We see that we sabaki our rook. We have a bishop in hand. We see that we sabaki our silver because it's in our hand as well. The only problem we have is this piece here. This bishop should be part of our attack, but it's not. Why? It is blocked by this pawn, and this particular pawn has two defenders, right? It has this silver and this rook. So it is quite surprising what computer suggested, but it makes sense when we look at it this way. The idea is we want to free this bishop, and how do we do that? Well, clearly to force the silver away, pawn drop will be good. The problem is this rook, right? If we were to chase it away with our knight, this unfortunately will block our bishop. So the move suggested by the computer here is to drop silver to 9-6. And this is just mind-breaking. It seems like the silver will be thrown away for free, right? But as we continue reading the variation, you will see that silver dies indeed, but in exchange, we take a lance, we make a horse, and we bully the rook. So just by sacrificing this one silver, we gain so much tempo. Also, please notice that this pawn promotion isn't really threatening our king. So if they were to defend the rook, we managed to activate the bishop that was here. We exchanged it into a rook. And now this rook is the perfect piece to expose this sitting king. I find this variation really, really interesting. This, of course, is strongly winning for Sente. So here Ko had a chance to create a token, and ddeo plays a move that will be leading to the critical position of the whole game. Bishop drop to 6. This bishop is forking this promoted silver and this defensive silver. And the question that Ko needed to answer is, which one has more value? Dear viewer, do you know which one has more value? What is your guess? So the way I see this position is we either lose this silver on 4-4 that's already away from the king, and the bishop then will be on 4-4. It is kind of in front of our king. The question will be how threatening it will be. Now, if we were to lose 3-7 promoted silver, our attack will be completely stopped, because we no longer will be threatening the pawn promotion, right? So it is important for us to realize that the only way for us to win a shogi game is when we checkmate the enemy king. So having no way to approach the enemy king equals a loss. So pawn promotion is the correct answer here. Bishop taking the silver. As you can see, yes, we do lose a silver, but at any point we can retake a general by taking 5-8 gold. In here, it is probably better to just add a rook onto the board to continue the pressure. And as I said before, the question is how much threatening is this 4-4 bishop? So let's say they dropped a silver. Yeah, very, very strong move, but we can take it. And here, because we got additional silver, this actually leads to a checkmate. And funnily enough, this bishop on 8-8 becomes a wall, and the rook on 8-5 is the perfect piece to corner this king. It would be a really, really nice win for Gote. So Ko instead, he played gold 5-3, which enabled this bishop to take our pivotal piece. Maybe we could have continue attacking with knight drop to 6-4, trying to fork those two pieces using the knight efficiently. But what we did was knight drop to 2-5. And if you look carefully, this bishop just ate our whole offensive line while avoiding this knight, which also renders this knight useless. But yeah, this feels bad from the offensive perspective. Yeah, all those pieces were eaten. This knight has no target. Really, really bad outcome for Gote. ddeo decided to move to this square instead. Here, I think pawn promotion would be again a very interesting move, because if gold takes, maybe we can 3-10 to this time take Sente's attacking piece. But in fact, it's already too late. The bishop could be sacrificed and we would be winning the game by silver drop to 5-3. Rook drop to 2-9 and silver drop to 5-3. The king was slowly cornered, so needs to escape. And here we have a brilliant, brilliant move from ddeo. A knight activation, attacking the rook and jumping again. It's just beautiful. Here, silver drop to 7-3 was also possible to take out this rook. ddeo decided to take the gold instead. And after all, we do drop the silver. And here, finally, beautifully, the bishop from 8-8 comes to life. All those pieces, just Sabaki, very, very beautiful line from ddeo. And the rest is just a formality, yeah, putting more and more attackers around the king. And finally, it leads to a mate in one. And the game was over. As you saw, left side Mino versus Gangi can lead to many sharp lines, with kings being barely castled or not castled at all. The decisive moment was definitely the choice to abandon our important attackers. The only way to win Shogi game is by checkmating enemy king. So keeping these attackers alive is so important. Dedeo's endgame was flawless. It was good Shogi to watch. And lastly, we will answer Ko's question, how to strengthen your situational analysis. I would recommend you pick up your favorite opening, the one that you're interested in, and that you find professional games of that opening. By watching the game development, the tactics played, and the professional player's idea, you will get better feel for the position, and therefore you will become better at analyzing your own game. It is, of course, a very, very difficult task, but in the end, it's gonna be worth it. So simply speaking, to get better at situational analysis, you have to observe many similar situations so that you know what are the possible paths and which one will be the best in your current position. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.